When thinking about what character I wanted to play through Elden Ring again, I decided upon a character that would be considered a glass cannon by most people. After looking through multiple lists filled with characters from various anime shows, one name really caught my eye. You've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail, it's obviously Doctor Strange. Being a sorcerer of tremendous power, he is still a human that could die from a mere flesh wound. With the exposition out of the way, here are the rules. I cannot increase my starting health in any way, be it leveling or increasing it via talismans. I can only use incantations for damage and healing. I cannot use any summons. And finally, I need to defeat all the shard bearers. So, without further ado, strap yourselves in and let's get to the video. With the starting class chosen, I made the character look like Bulbasaur camouflage, moved over to the grafted Scion, and chose the only quick way out of that fight. I also like that the voice I've chosen somewhat sounds like British man fancy name's voice. I then got Torrent from Melina and moved over to Liurnia to find all of the prayer books available in the overworld, all of which would eventually end up over at Muriel's place. After the arduous hunt for the prayer books, it was finally time to collect the stone bell bearings. Yay! Then I grabbed the physic flask, one half of the Dectus medallion, a memory stone on Lena's rise, witnessed the downfall of a knight's cavalry. Poor guy can't catch a break, can he? With the final half of the medallion, I went over to Altus Plateau to grab the second stone bell bearing. And back in Caelid, I grabbed my first talisman, which would increase the potency of my incantations, and decided that I was finally ready to fight Margit. With Margit out of the way, I grabbed the Godskin Seal and Prayer Book from Stormvale Castle, and since I had a second talisman slot available, I grabbed Godfrey's Icon from the most lazily designed boss in the entire game, and then moved over to a boss that is actually fun to fight. After that, I started progressing Brava Corin's quest to purchase more incantations from him, and began Vare's questline. Instead of getting my ass handed to me in online invasions, I decided to progress the quest via the help of the offline host found in Altus Plateau. I then got a few more items for Vare, and finally got the medal from him, which would give me access to Mogwim Palace, where I can farm those who shall not be named, and to the Swarm of Flies incantation. I then made the foolish mistake of going into Renala's boss fight as a mage. Making the decision to complete the fight at a later date, I moved on to grab some runes from Grail, and went up against Radahn. Before going in though, I grabbed the Opaline Bubble Tear as an added source of protection, so that the bosses would be able to kill me in 2 hits instead of 1. It does kinda look like a protection spell of some kinds after all. Yeah, you don't need vigor if you don't get hit. Over at the entrance to the capital, I defeated the tree sentinel, and while exploring Lane Dell, I finally found my drip, which was a moment that I have been awaiting ever so anxiously. I then dealt with the spirit of Godfrey, which provided me with some much needed practice for the eventual fight against the real Godfrey, and before attempting Morgoth, I got the ritual sword talisman for a slightly stronger damage output. It's Morgan time, baby. The main thing about fighting this bad boy as a pure incantations build is never ever get up close to him, or else he will shred you in CQC. Following this way of thinking, I was able to defeat Morgoth in just under 2 hours, which was impressive. Very nice. Onwards to the mountaintops with its tremendous spike in difficulty. From here on out, all of the bosses hit like a truck and kill me in one hit. Neat, I made a stop over at the Zamor ruins to grab the bell bearing, and then the Giant's Prayer Book. Over at Kalit and Mount Gelmir, I grabbed Flame Grant Me Strength and Fire and Lightning Scorpion Charms. It was at that point when I felt semi-confident in attempting to tie up loose ends with Renala, and it went about as well as you might expect. I would have never guessed that Renala of all bosses would be in third place of the toughest bosses during this run. Who are the first two, you might ask? Well, watch till the end to find out. The Fire Giant wasn't nearly as big of a pain in the rear as I thought he would be. Before starting this run, I decided not to abuse the hell out of the Rod Breath incantation, saving it for very specific bosses, like the Fire Giant. After proccing the Rot, I began throwing Black Flame at this bad boy, and his health was melting slowly, but surely. After the fighting was done, I wanted to move over to the Halo tree to go up against Melania. I got both the medallion parts and moved over to the consecrated snowfield, and then to Elphile, where I got one of the most aesthetically cool looking incantations, the Triple Rings of Light. You might ask me, what is Benedict Upturaz going to do against the toughest boss in the game according to most people?
Cheese.
You fight Melania to test the skills you acquired after 100 hours of gameplay. I fight Melania because she drops a lot of runes. We are not the same. After a successful cheesing of Melania, Benevolent Cucumber and his accomplice committed a war crime and were subsequently punished by having to fight the Godskin Trio in a half. Oh wait, that wasn't difficult at all. That's not in the script. What the hell? Placidusax, my dear, you're cool and all, but I'm gonna need those runes. You don't need vigor if you don't get hit.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
The fight with Malekith went pretty much like this.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu! Dormammu! Dormammu!
After cheesing both the Godskins and Placidius Axe with the red lightning strike, I really wanted to use something else to spice things up. But after 3 arrows I just gave up and decided to use the lightning strike again. If a strat isn't broken, don't fix it. Yeah, you don't need vigor if you don't get hit. Gideon. A battle of 2 sorcerers, who spamming morons going at it. Who will come out on top? Well, of course it's gonna be Battlefield Counter-Strike. What else did you think would happen? Godfrey was once again a delight to fight. You don't need vigor if you don't get hit. Moog is easily the second hardest boss I had the pleasure of fighting during this run. While phase 1 was somewhat simple to go through, the second phase was tough as most of his attacks leave Bloodflame on the ground, and if Benadryl Slumbercatch were to linger for too long in those areas, he would be dead, not to mention that pretty much all of his attacks are a one-hit kill. What he is weak to, though, is Blood Loss and Lightning, so most of the incantations I chose for this boss fight were an obvious choice. Rykard is easily the most difficult boss I fought during this run. Phase 1, easy. 1 or 2 casts of Lightning Strike were almost always enough to deal with the snake. Phase 2, disgusting. I've had what felt like 14,605 attempts with this guy. With his tenacity to move away when you're casting a spell, getting lightning to proc was pretty much impossible. Except during the phase transition. When the snake's head drops, all you have to do is count down 2 seconds, start casting, and then boom. Rykard loses on average 15,000 health, sometimes even upwards of 25,000, which is tremendously helpful, as after a few casts of Pest Threads, he gets stance broken, allowing me to apply Scarlet Rot, and move away from him while all hell is breaking loose, praying to Magrica that the rod kills him, which it didn't, making me have to get in close and finish him off. Radagon was fun, I love fighting him. With the Elden Beast though, I had to work fast and kill it before that thing could do something stupid, and only one spell in the game would allow me to do so. You guessed it, Red Lightning Strike. You don't need vigor if you don't get hit. With the Elden Beast vanquished, Ben Doctor Strange Badge finally claimed the title of Sorcerer Supreme of the Lands Between. As always, if you want to try out a similar build, here are the proper stats of the talismans for PvE and for PvP. If you want me to make a video about a specific cosplay build that would restrict my playstyle in some manner, feel free to share your ideas in the comments down below. I am interested to see what you guys can come up with. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a good one. Peace.